Why is the earth in the perfect place for life? Is it just luck, a coincidence, or there is a supreme being somewhere? Science explains the condition that make life on earth possible, while the Quran repeatedly points us to the balance, order, and deliberate nature of creation. Have you ever thought about this? What if the earth was just a little bit closer to the sun? Or just a little bit farther away? Just a small shift or a tiny movement? Are we still going to be here? Look at the trees. Will they still grow? What about the oceans? Will they still exist? Or are we still going to be here complaining about NEPA and fuel prices? Probably not. And this is where one very interesting scientific idea comes in. It is called the Goldilocks zone. Funny name, right? Sounds like something from Cartoon Network, but the idea behind it is actually very serious. The Goldilocks zone is basically the not too hot, not too cold zone. The perfect distance from a star where a planet can support life. And when scientists study Earth, they find something very interesting. Earth is sitting in a position that seems incredibly suitable for life. So the question is it all just chance? Or is this one of the signs that creation is not random? And what does the Quran says about a world that is carefully balanced? Let's talk about it. So what is the Goldilocks zone we are talking about? First, let me break it down very simply. The Goldilocks zone is the area around a star where a planet is at the right distance for liquid water to exist on its surface. That means not too close to the sun where everything will burn, not too far where everything will freeze. Just the right and perfect distance. That is why they call it Goldilocks. From that children's story where Goldilocks didn't want the porridge that was too hot or too cold. She wanted the one that was just right, the perfect one. Yes, apparently even space scientists borrowed from bedtime stories, right? Very unserious people. But we move. Now, why is this important? Because as far as we know, life needs water. Not Fanta, not Pepsi, not Zobo. Water, a basic essential of life. So if a planet cannot keep water in liquid form, then life, at least the kind of life we know, becomes extremely difficult. So when scientists search for planets that might support life, one of the first things they ask is this planet inside the Goldilocks zone? And yes, Earth is there. And not only is it in that zone, it is also doing very well there. That is where things start getting interesting. Earth, as we know, is not just in the zone, it is deeply balanced. Now, here's where it gets deeper. A lot of people hear Goldilocks zone and think, oh, okay, Earth is just in the right place, cool. But it's actually much more than that. Because being in the right position is only part of the story. Earth is not just surviving, it is rich with life. It has flowing water, breathable air, oceans, clouds, plants, animals, food system, and all things needed to sustain life. That is not small. Because imagine if Earth was slightly closer to the sun. What could happen? The heat will increase, water will begin to evaporate too much, the climate could become unstable, life will become much harder. Now imagine Earth was slightly farther away. Things could become too cold, water could freeze more easily, large part of the planet could become too harsh for life. So it is not just that Earth exists, it exists in a condition that is amazingly suitable. That should make any thinking person pause. Because if you enter a room and everything is arranged perfectly, the light is working, the fan is turning, the food is hot, the chair is comfortable, and even the Wi-Fi is behaving. So you will not say, wow, what a lucky accident. You will assume there was a planning. So why do many people suddenly become shy to use that same logic when it comes to the universe? Now let's talk about the Quran. This is where the Quran becomes very powerful. You know, the Quran does not come like a science textbook saying, chapter 4, Earth's orbital distance from the sun. No, this is not the style of revelation. Instead, the Quran repeatedly invites us to look at creation and reflect. Not just stare, reflect, think, observe, ask questions. And one of the most powerful ideas in the Quran is that this universe was not created in vain or randomly. Allah says in meaning that He did not create the heaven and the earth without purpose. This is a very deep statement, because when we look at the earth, its position, its systems, its balance, its ability to sustain life as explained by science, the Quran is teaching us not to see all of that as ordinary. It is a sign, not just a planet, a sign. That is a major difference between the scientific lens and the Islamic lens. Science can tell us, yes, how far Earth is, how it affects water, why a planet may support life. But Islam asks the bigger question, why is there such order in the first place? Science can describe the arrangement, but revelation points us towards the one who arranged it. This is not anti-science. This is deeper than science. Here comes the question many people avoid. Is all of this just a coincidence? Maybe someone will say, well, Earth just to be here, that's all. Or Earth just happened to be here, that's all. Okay, but let's think about that. If you throw ink on a wall and it lands as a perfect portrait of your face, will you call that a coincidence? If you enter a kitchen and you see rice, stew, chicken, spoon, plate, and chilled zobo or water arranged neatly on the table, will you say nature did this? No, you won't. You will look for the person that cooked. So why is it that when we say far greater order in the universe, some people suddenly want us to believe that there is no mind behind it? That is not always logic. Sometimes it is just discomfort with the idea of a creator. Now, to be fair, science itself does not claim to prove or disprove God by measuring the Goldilocks zone. This is not what science is built to do. Science studies patterns and processes, but when a human being looks at those patterns, they still have to ask a philosophical question. What does all this order mean? And this is where faith speaks. For a believer, the earth's suitability for life is not just an interesting data. It is a reminder. It is a sign. It is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ